Hello everyone, my name is Roy Cornwall. It is June the 13th, that's a Thursday, at 3:55 in the afternoon. Um, this is going to be Big John 3. Everything is around the cottage and my two neighbors' cottage was just relaxed and calm. There was never anything happened. We fell into a regular routine of boredom. and which was okay with us. You know, we watch our garden grow and stuff. My next door neighbor, he had a company installing geothermic heating, and my other neighbor, he built houses. He had to own his own construction, his own company building houses, and uh, that was sort of a part-time job for them because they were both really retired. But yeah, it was a sunny. I think it was a Saturday day, a Saturday afternoon, hot. I didn't have air conditioners, but I had fans going in the place, so it was hot. And here, knock at the door, my front door now. I'm way away from everywhere. I don't ever get visitors, and there's a knock at my front door. So I quickly hurried and went to the front door and opened the door. And there's this lady standing there, in her car parked out in the driveway. And uh, I said, "Hi, can I help you?" She says, "You don't recognize my voice?" I said, "No." I said, "I'm that lady you spoke to on the 911 call." And it came back to me, and now I remember, yeah, okay, I know it's your voice. So I invited her in, right? And uh, she said, "Sir, I don't want to alarm you, and I'm not here to cause any harm in any way. But we know what happened that night." I said, "Who's we?" I said, there was me and an officer who flew a drone over the area. And we have the audio tapes from the call and the visual. So I said, the lady says, "Don't worry, sir. We are sworn to secrecy because you saved that man's life. It wasn't vandalism or something. Right? So we have sworn to secrecy, this officer and I." I said, "Well, why are you here now then?" Because you triggered my curiosity now. They say, "Sir, uh, there was a plane crash exactly 40 miles into the bush off your back porch." Uh, Now I know most of that land, but 40 miles in there, I don't know that far back in. And I said to them, I said, "Well, do you think anybody survived the plane crash?" And apparently, just the weather turned really foul. But just before it did, they got a plane flew over and said, no, it looked like the plane. It slid down a gorge deep in between two really steep sides, and they're down in this gorge. But the plane looks intact, and there's probably a lot of people alive there. I said, "Well, what are you doing about it?" She said, "Well, we can't do much. The weather's turned foul. We can't get any airplanes in there, and we can't drop people from parachutes in there, and we can't do much of anything right now." And she says, "You want the bad news?" I said, "Well, you might as well. This isn't good news so far." She says, she says, that plane was carrying 32 children and two pilots. I said, "What are you doing putting 32 children in a plane like that?" This is, we had to do that. We can't get into the logistics of why, but we had to do this. And the parents were waiting for them at the airports. Apparently, these children were rescued from some situation, and they were being flown to the airport to meet their parents. Well, they never made it to the airport. So I could see the urgency. I mean, this lady was in tears. No, well, what do you want me to do about it? I said, what can I do? She says, yeah, we need the help of your friends. Only they can get back into that bush. Only they can get those people out of there. They've only got about 2 days of, 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 of a good window for us to save their lives. After that, they get sick or they die or whatever. Right? 2 days. So, um, we can't get to them fast enough, but you guys can, he says. Well, the thermal imaging wasn't real clear, but it showed something about 12 feet high standing right beside you, not being aggressive. Sir, we need your help. I said, well, if they go in and save these children, they're going to be known to everybody. Everybody's going to know they're there then. And the only protection they have is their anonymity. You might as well set them up in front of a firing squad, I said. She goes, we thought of that, this officer and her. She says, the officer and her will act as a go-between between the authorities and the Bigfoot. And we will keep the anonymity of these things, right? So, I said it would be, I think it would be, if we're going to do this, we should ask them, not tell them. They're not pets. If anything, we're the pets. If we tell them we need our help, I'm pretty sure they're going to help us. So, it was raining like crazy. I mean, it was, you picked the worst rainstorm. The winds are up and the leaves, the trees are going and the rain's coming. So, I walked just like the way I am, a t-shirt and jeans. I walked out onto the back porch. I'm getting soaked, right? I can't even see, right? Turn the backyard lights off, and I do this call again. The lady started to giggle. I said, you won't be giggling long. I said, this is how I call them. And the first call, what it does is if they're way over there, it gives them a direction to come at. But once they get closer, they can't really tell a pinpoint where you are till you do it a second time. So I did it a second time. And the two boys showed up at my back porch. Right? Now, if you're going around and going under the back, because the ground went away on the back porch and it was high underneath the porch. If you went around the side, you could get out of the rains, and that's where we went. And what I did was, because you can't really talk to these beings, right? I had a model airplane inside, right? And they've seen planes in the sky. They know what an airplane is. I said, and they're going out. I said, then I went, and I drove it right into the ground. Bam. And they looked at me and I said, yeah. And I showed pictures of a class of about 32 kids. A still picture of it, but from one of the public schools. Now those kids weren't the ones that were being infected by this, but they showed 32 children. And when they saw the children, and I saw the airplane, they got excited. They wanted to leave right then. But I had to call my next door neighbors, both of them. Now the one fellow that had the broken leg, him and I said to each other, look, we can't send these Bigfoot in there to haul them out. I said, they're going to shoot or a panic or something. I said, we got to go with them. I said, how are we going to go 50 miles, 40 miles back into this bush? I said, well, the two boys are big enough. Let them carry us on their back. Right? So we tied some ropes. And one rope was for us to sit on the back. The other one went under our armpits and held us close. We wrapped it in cloth so it wouldn't be sore on us or them, and we used that. And the two boys, before we left, this was very enlightening, because up to this point I thought that the two boys and Girly, which I haven't seen now for a long time, I think she's dead, but were the only Bigfoots I knew of. And this one that came one extra Bigfoot came that I made friends with when they moved the tractor. But other than that, I didn't think there was any more Bigfoots, right? So I went like this. I said to the boys, I said, I went, I pointed at the one boy at King. I went like that, number one. I pointed at Kong, and I went, that's number two. I said, five, and they got it. They said they need five more because there's a lot of kids. Five more, at least, right? Each one of these guys could carry two kids, maybe three, another one on the back. So 3 7s are 21. Uh, we needed more than that, even that even. But I didn't know at the time exactly how many kids were alive or whatever. So we went with that. We went with. Uh, I tried to get 7. We ended up getting 9. 9 Bigfoots. You know, and uh, and my neighbor, he's you know, he's a real thinker. He says, we got canoes. All of us, our 3 cottages, we got canoes. I said, if somebody's really injured, you could lie somebody in that canoe and just pull it through the bush like that, right? Okay, yeah, so that's how we brought the extra people back, because we could only carry so many people, and there was only like 9 of them, so it's like, so, you know, we pulled like a wagon train of people lying down into those canoes. We could get 2 people per canoe. And we eventually got, they went in, these, I call them the clan. Now, it's a bigger clan now than I even knew of, right? But the boys were in charge. They went in, told the other guys how to do it, and brought the whole pile of them out 40 miles. 40 miles. It took them a full 2 days to get there and get back. With me on the one back of John and my friend on the back of King. So it was funny. We went there, and I held out to them, right? And they yelled, yeah. They started getting excited. They heard a human voice, right? So I got off and walked down and went in. I said, me having to explain to them after they just crashed that they're going to get carried out of the bush by Bigfoot was a big leap. But when I started to explain to the kids, he's just a big teddy bear. He's a really, really big teddy bear. And he's come here to save you. So if he reaches out for you to take you, you reach out for him and let him take you. And we'll get you all back to my place where the authorities are waiting. And that's what happened. I mean, it was, by the time we got back, our wives, there were 3 places, 3 wives, right? They had pulled every mattress that we had. They made a tent. They made a plastic tent, a big one. Actually, it was more than that. It was like 2 tents, big ones, and they put mattresses in there, right on the ground. Made beds for the kids. So when a Bigfoot came and he had one in each arm and he was pulling a sled full of 2 or 3 of them, the women just go over and lay them in a bed. Now, this was the tricky part, because we needed a doctor there. This was a triage site. It wasn't a hospital, and we needed a doctor there, right? So I said to the lady dispatcher, I said, because she's there watching all this, helping, right? I said, we need a doctor here. She says, I know just the man, Dr. So-and-so. I'm not saying his name, but he says he's retired. He's been retired. He's the best doctor I've ever seen, he says. I said, okay, we need him, get him here. They went out and got him back. Now, these children, there were a couple that were pretty badly banged up, right? Broken collarbone, that kind of thing. But most of them just had like a severe cuts and bruises, and they were shook up, hungry, tired, cold. So the mayor showed up somehow. How he got wind of this, I'll never know. But our friend, the police officer, he wasn't going to let him go. I saw the commotion so I went down there and I said to the mayor, I said, look, I took him aside down the road in the dark. I talked to him, and I told them all what happened. I said, they need our help now. This place has got to stay hidden. People can't know about this property or these beings. And they just saved 32 children and 2 pilots. Are you going to put them in a zoo? All you got to do is stay quiet about this place, right? He agreed. I said, how do you know we're not going to need their help in the future? They'll be there for us. And by the way, I've been giving them food for a very long time now. So they are friendly, I said. So the mayor says, okay, look, this is what we'll do. I know some indigenous people that we can make this like their land, and nobody can even come onto it. I said, a religious property or something. We'll find a way legally of keeping people away from this whole area. I said, how much area are we talking about? Because they're going to stick me in a closet. These guys in a closet, I don't, they won't go for that. He says, no, behind your place, as you well know, there's nothing but trees for thousands of miles. It's just like open bush. I said, what we'll do is we'll make, if we have to, we'll make it a national park. With nobody allowed to bring their pets or hunting or nothing like that. And we'll preserve it under a different way, but for them. So when I was satisfied with what he was saying, I said, how long are you going to be in the office for? He says, I'm so well liked, I'll be here for the rest of my life. I said, well, what about the next mayor? Is he going to go with this? He says, I'll leave people behind, the guy will have no choice. That's what I want to hear. Longevity for these things. So, he says, I want to see one. Right? That was his big thing. That's what he really wanted, was to see one. So, out of the bush comes one, this Bigfoot I've never seen before. He was pretty big. He's pulling a sled of about 3 canoes behind him. And he had one in each arm. Right? And the mayor took out his phone and took a picture. I made him erase that picture. But he couldn't believe the size of these things. He could not believe the size of these things. So I said to him, look, I said, in probably about a half an hour we'll have the last ones out of here. I said, look, why don't you and I go down to the pub and we'll talk this through for the night. It can be on you. You can buy me drinks. He goes, okay, that's a good idea, because he says, I'm so worked up. If I get amongst my people, they're going to know something's wrong. So we spent the night down at the pub, getting pretty high, and he agreed. He totally agreed. I said, and right at the end I said, you know, I'm going to tell them that this is their property, right? And if anything happens, that they're to come and kill you. And he went like this. I was only fooling, but you know, hey, he was worried about that. I said, you're not talking about me, you're talking about a whole clan. I said, there was only 9 here in the yard. How do you know there's not 109 in there? And they're all 12 feet tall. Right? So I said, yeah, make friends with them. They'll help us when we're in trouble, you know, protect us, basically. They protected Pappy from that wolf. They saved that next door neighbor's life from being crushed. What more do they got to do, I said. He agreed. And so, after this is all over, right, the next couple of days, it took me 2 days to recover from that session at the bar. But my next door neighbor comes over to me, my one that does the geothermal one. And the other one that builds, got the construction company, he comes over and he says, Roy, he says, we got a great idea. I said, what? He says, why don't we build for our friends an underground shelter, they call it. Well, the construction guy says, yeah, we'll go in about 10 miles in, find a suitable spot and dig a massive big hole. And I'll build an underground shelter there for them. And the other fellow says, yeah, and I'll put geothermal heating in there, and it'll be warm for them in the winter. And then from there on, I said, you better ask them what they want. If they want straw down, they'll tell you. You put a straw, regular mattress, and which one they come and get is the one that you want, right? So there's ways of communicating with these beasts. I call them beasts as just fooling around, but because I love them. So yeah. So we built this thing. The doors on it were about 14 feet tall. They were massive. It was only one door in and one door out, and it was very well hidden. It was very well hidden. It was a door that was on the side of a rock face, and it looked like the rock face. When the door was closed, it was very much hidden. Right? They're very big inside, and we had a way. I was gonna put some solar paneling there, so I put some lighting in there for them, right? But that's like putting up a signpost, I said. So 10 miles in, we ran a wire underground, dug it in underground, and supplied it with hydro from my home. So it was a sunny day that day, and I took the boys out there, and they had two of their buddies with them, and that's what they were, friends. And I took them out, and I got them to, this door is huge. I had a hard time opening it. So I said to them, I said, pull on the ring, open it. So they opened it. They almost walked right by it for starters, because it looks just like the rock face. They pull on this rock and it opens the thing, and they go in, right? And I showed them that you couldn't have like a regular house switch for the light. You had to have this over beefy thing that they could use, not destroy. So it was made. It was a really big system. So he just switches it, and all the lights come on in there for him. It was dry in there, and it was he could feel the heat in there. It's warm in there, and we lined it with mattresses. Actually, they liked the mattresses. When things got wet, I told them, you got to work with them, but you can't just hand them a mattress and leave it. And I lie down. I said, make sure, get rid of the water off. You guys, I ran the water off of them like that, and then they lie down on the mattress in the warmth. They liked that. They really did. So there was no keys to this thing, or anybody stupid enough to try and get in there, and they deserve what they get. But that thing would house about, it was pretty big, 10 at least. Sleep 10 in there, and so I don't think they used it all the time, because they were used to running around the bush and stuff. But they did use it, because I go and check on it once in a while, and they did use it. I could see when I left, I'd take a broom and get rid of the footprints, so I could tell if somebody's just been there or not. But after this, when the mayor and the town folk all came on board to protect our friends, I don't know why they chose that, but after a while, I started not to see them. There used to be like 9 or 10 of them come by, but now we're down to the boys, King and Kong, and I had a feeling they came to say goodbye. This is what I thought. There was, I guess, there was too many people in the area that knew about him. And, you know, I just ran into their arms and hugged them and kissed them. And then they left. They just walked right off into the bush and I never saw them again. So, that's my Bigfoot story. And I hope you liked it. If you could like and subscribe and ring the notification bell, that'd be good. Blessings, everyone. But massive blessing for you and your family. Bye-bye.